All right, what's going on, everybody? My name is DJ Mel.
This is DJ Honeycomb.
And you are listening to The Sounds of First, and we are recording from the podcast studio here at Waterloo Records. So what's going on, Rachel?
You know, just trying to figure out this cold weather freak out that people are having. I was at HEB earlier today, and I was like, let me get something here and there.
Kind of a bad move, right?
I thought for sure the bread aisle would be empty. But no, it is, all the steaks were gone. And all the cheese was gone. And I'm like, what an interesting weekend for folks.
Yeah, I think right now, with all the hype and everyone freaking out online about, the impending doom and gloom that we're about to experience, well, that all remains to be seen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, I feel like right now, when I was driving over here to the studio, this right now, everything's like, we're being catfished. That's seriously, because I'm driving over here and I'm seeing dudes like running with no shirt on.
I know.
And there were like plenty of women running up and down like South First with yoga pants and what is that? A tank top type thing?
Sports bra?
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, what is going on here?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like thinking it's already cold, but it's not.
It's not really cold.
It's not.
I lived in Wisconsin. That's pretty cold.
So I've been thinking about this, and I catch myself doing this all the time at home, and I beatbox a lot.
What do you mean?
Like, I'll be walking around the house just like, when I'm in the kitchen washing dishes or whatever, I just start beatboxing. I'm just like, just doing like some Rozelle, human beatbox type shit. And it made me start thinking, like, do you ever beatbox? Do you ever catch yourself like, is that like I think that's a guy thing. I think that's like a Gen X. That's just a hip hop dude thing, or or DJ thing, where you're just beatboxing. I do that all. Maybe it's a nervous tick. I don't know.
No, I've never caught myself beatboxing. I have caught myself singing just made up jingles around my house just to get the chores done or just to move on to the next thing. And it makes no sense. It's very nonsensical. Or basically I will have a song stuck in my head and I'll sing it out loud.
Okay.
But I don't beatbox. I think I was really into beatboxing when, who was that one guy in the 80s, the actor that did all the effects?
Oh, Michael Winslow. He was in Police Academy. Remember that guy?
Yeah. That's when we were all trying to beatbox at school, in the bathroom, at home, at the dances.
Yeah, that
just a bunch of spit everywhere.
Yeah, that dude was wild because we're talking like 05, 06, the Alamo Draft House brought him to the Alamo.
Oh, okay.
And I guess maybe it was like a special screening of Police Academy. And then I think post show was a Q&A with Michael Winslow.
Oh my
and then
God.
he did all this crazy sound effects
That's
and
who
beatbox.
He was, yeah.
And I remember my girlfriend at the time was sitting there just tripping out because maybe she had seen the movies. I don't know, but she was tripping because he was like doing Hendrix and
that's right.
he was doing he was doing all this crazy stuff and she was just tripping. But anyways, so I guess that is no, you don't ever beatbox, and I don't think I think that's just a guy thing.
I'll tap if I'm at my computer, I'll start doing like time signatures with drums just to kind of, it's like, that's my tick, I guess, because coming from being a percussionist.
Yeah. So it's a hard no when it comes to beatboxing. You don't do that. And I don't think a lot of women, I don't think they do that.
No, but if you do find a woman that does, let me know, because I would like to talk to her about that.
Well, if I ever meet a girl if I ever meet a woman that beatbox well, I'm wifing that gal.
Okay.
John Kuhn's in the building.
Hola.
So anyways, let's talk about this week's guest.
Yes.
He is involved with Antone's, Arlen Studios, Deep Eddy Cabaret, Pool Burger, most importantly, Antone's, and if I remember correctly, the Austin Blues Festival, right? Everybody, make some noise and welcome Will Bridges.
Woohoo! Welcome.
The beat and the chorus at the same time.
So,
nice.
Do you, I know Will beatboxes. Do you ever do that? There you go. See, you know what I mean?
Wow.
See,
just rolled it off.
Dude is a serious business guy now, and he's still beatbox. That's my guy. We're family, ride or die. We're family.
My daughters love it. They're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Do you do that
Oh
around them?
yeah, do it in the car.
Oh man, that's so cool.
And they're just mesmerized. They just
say,
like, what
how
is
do you
that?
do that, Dad?
So what does Noelle think of it?
She just it's like
That's
just,
Will being Will, right?
Yeah, we've been married 12 years. So
Has it been that long?
Kind of don't even notice.
Wow, it's been that long.
Yeah, you
wow.
don't notice about your partner's little funny
But
stuff.
you've inspired me. I don't probably beat. I'm probably like a little rusty. I probably need to bring it back. I'm probably not beatboxing enough.
Yeah.
It's good for you. It's great for you.
Yeah, man. You know,
I can
helps out
imagine
your
so.
lungs and
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like, it's exactly like playing a brass instrument, right? Or even a woodwind, where the diaphragm in your lungs and your lung capacity. I mean, it helps, right? Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what? I've never even tried to play a wind instrument. That is tough beyond tough.
So, Will, when did we start working together at Lambert's? What year was that?
So
this
will
Wednesday
probably
nights?
blow your mind because we've aged well, my friend.
Yeah.
It was coming up on 20 years ago.
No way.
What?
No. Yes.
Wow.
Because we both worked here 26 years ago. That's when we worked here.
Wow.
So
And so
Lambert's will
yeah.
be celebrating its 20th anniversary this December.
So you're still involved with Lambert's?
Yeah.
Okay. So do they still have any music programming in the building?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We have music. It's maybe 3-4 times a month now.
Okay.
We do a lot of events there, and so it's always a little bit of a balancing act. But yeah, it's still and there's times where we have more music, and we're still a South by venue. We're proud to be. It'll be our 20th year as an official South by Southwest music venue this March.
Wow.
Time flies.
Time does definitely fly.
You're probably wondering, wait a second, how does that check with us, our 20th anniversary being in December? But it's because we got, we opened in 2006, and then 2007 was I've done the math, and it'll be our 20th time of being an official South by venue.
Man, almost 20 years. So I used to play there every Wednesday, right? And which was really, really fun.
3-2-1 Wednesdays.
Yeah. And I remember this is the one thing I do remember about being there. There was one night in particular when I wrapped up playing, and Will was there, and I'm like, "Yo, Will, why don't you get behind the decks and show us what's up?" And dude starts scratching. Like, Will, everybody who's listening, and hopefully plenty of people and plenty of Will's friends are listening to this. This guy can scratch. I was like, man, you know what I mean? Like, I was really impressed. Like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was a DJ for a long time.
Yeah. And it was very, very impressive. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know. You know what I mean? That's like you coming out of nowhere and just start beatboxing like Rozelle. You know what I mean? You start like beatboxing like drum and bass or something like that. You're like, whoa, where did that come from?
I know.
I probably had a 6 or 7 year run in my life where I had at least one weekly somewhere, and usually maybe 2 weeklies. But a lot of that started in Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay. When
I was going to school, and then I actually had it pretty good up there. And when I came back home, I one of my claims to fame is I pretty much systematically got fired from every DJ bar on 6th Street.
That's what's up right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, 36?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome.
Wait.
Though,
I got to know a little bit more about this. How did you get fired? Did you know how you got fired? Did you do it on purpose?
Well,
just to
for
kind
one
of
thing, they're pretty much all owned by
Oh, it was kind of like
same guy.
the same guy.
it's like on some
or like
mob
two
shit,
guys.
right?
But no, I was a hip hop DJ. I was playing a lot of rap and Texas Third Coast stuff and old school hip hop, but also kind of like some trip hop and down tempo, and kind of like would mix in some of that. But when things would get hype on 6th Street and like people want to, I would just kind of throw that kerosene on the fire, and they would come up and be like, okay, you need to tone it down a little bit, like, play the new, pop song hit or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would like, seriously, you really got to, and I'd say, okay, coming up, I'm getting to it. And then I would just throw on, like a UGK jam or something.
Yeah.
And I'd get the look like, okay, this is your last night. You're out of here. But the crowd would love it. And I would go out in a blaze of glory. Plus, they're paying you like $50 a night or, $75. So it wasn't, I didn't mind. I was kind of like, take this job and shove it.
Dude. So that was kind of like around like the crunk era, right? Right? So, I mean, of course, that
it was before Serato too.
Yeah,
so I was actually, this is back in the day, like up in Dallas, I would go dig for vinyl at Bill's.
There you go.
And, you were kind of lucky to just find stuff. And then what you couldn't find, you'd burn CDs and have to so those were the pre-Serato days. And it was fun.
Yeah, that's interesting because you, like, as a DJ, that's what you're supposed to do, is that, like you said, pour kerosene on the fire. Right? That's the thing that you're supposed to do as a DJ, is when you're playing to a crowd, is that once you have that hold, your job is to kind of just keep your hand on their chest, when they're on the ground, and just hold them until you're done, right? Just to rock it out. Your job is not to like get them all like, crazy and really into it and engaged, and then all of a sudden, oh, you know what? I'm gonna switch gears and I'm gonna play Portishead. You know what I mean? Like, you don't do that. Like, who does that, right? But then again, like the folks that that ran all those bars back in the day, they didn't want it to get crazy like that, right?
Yeah, and I think aggressive rap has become more mainstream.
Oh, it's totally mainstream.
But even back then, which doesn't seem like that long ago, it was kind of like they thought I was bringing the bad crowd.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so it was still kind of discriminated against,
For
like
sure.
some of that music, because it was just like, whoa, that is a lot of F-bombs.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary.
People.
Yeah, it's scary. Like now, it's so like when you look back at that era, right? Like Little John and Yin Yang Twins, and even like all the stuff from Houston. You name any of them. I mean, when you listen to it now, it's so innocuous. You know what I mean? It's so harmless. I love it still.
Yeah.
I think back then, if you were like this normal person, it would scare the shit out of you, right?
And that crowd, it was like, they were getting crazy, but that was like the most kumbaya kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Everybody singing along with, 25 lighters on my dresser or whatever kind of thing, versus probably like the country bar down the street where there's fights breaking out and stuff. So yeah, they didn't understand it. They were kind of intimidated by it. But yeah, that's kind of the ironic thing about, that music is actually, it's like brings people together.
No, exactly. I think that the like music, regardless of what it is especially now, is like is kind of like the great unifier, right? I mean, regardless of what side of the aisle you stand, you know what I mean. There's plenty of people that I know, like, wow, you like UGK? Whoa, you know what I mean? Like,
we love doing those throwback shows at Antone's too. We're like pride ourselves on doing really cool, well-produced throwback Houston and Third Coast shows. Bun B's, in fact, coming back for the anniversary this year. First time in 5 years that we'll have him back at Antone.
So when is that happening?
I don't even think it's announced, so I think that's all I can say. But it's happening. It's happening this summer.
We won't let the cat out of the bag. So I guess the volume of hip hop shows or rap shows at Antone's you're probably like have a heavy hand in that, right? I mean, is it like it's always been a place like for like hip hop. I mean, I remember doing a show like back in 2004, and it was me, Peanut Butter Wolf, and Wild Child. It was definitely like on some backpack rapper stuff, right? They had rap shows, but I think even more so now, you're seeing kind of regional and southern hip hop at Antone's, and I'm asking if you have
Yeah.
like an input on that or.
Yeah, for sure. So Zach Ernst, our talent buyer and kind of head of programming, he also books all the music for the Paramount Theater and also for Austin Blues Festival. He's is Clifford's protege, basically. One of many people who walked unexpectedly into Clifford's music class at University of Texas
Right.
and kind of changed their life. But Zach was like, teacher's pet kind of. I mean, he just soaked it all up. They had a great relationship. Clifford trusted him so much with his kind of, the way he absorbed that information and kind of understood Clifford's perspective, that when Cliff would be at shows at Antone's kind of later in his life, and he just wanted to focus on the music, and people always wanted to talk to him and interview him, he would point at Zach and say, "See that kid over there? Go interview him, and you can just quote me," which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is
so
cool.
So Zach really inherited a lot of that, and it's like a lot of these brands that I've gotten involved with, where we're taking something from old Austin, and you want to hang on to the important things that make it authentic, but you can't be too literal about that, because if you just try to copy paste what it once was in a modern 2026 environment, like, it might not translate. So that's actually the word I use, the verb I use of you have to find a way to translate it forward, and kind of like what, in the way that it was relevant then, like, apply that to make it relevant now. So our Texas rap and kind of the, just like, we grew up in a kind of a golden era of modern rap. I mean, listen, and a lot of modern music, modern rock. I mean, growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, like, it was just, these amazing songs that are now like evergreen hits just coming out just like on the weekly almost,
Yeah.
So to be able to celebrate that is probably not that different than the way that in the 70s and 80s, they were celebrating R&B and funk and soul and, music that maybe that generation had grown up with. So it's very analogous, and even to the blues, a lot of some of the things that, the lyrics or the subject matter and stuff, there's even, a lot of parallels
Exactly.
there with it's party music, or it's kind of sad music, or it's talking about relationships, talking about money problems, it's talking about life, So, of course, Zach and I both recognize that, but I would like to think that I've had a little bit of an imprint on that with my, growing up here in Austin, where even though we were not Houston, we were definitely very, influenced by kind of the Third Coast movement and what was going on, and we're really proud of, like, it was our state's kind of sound, and there really hasn't been, other than perhaps in, well, you got the outlaw country thing, and of course like the cool blues thing, a lot of which ended up finding a home and kind of distilling right here in Austin at Antone's. But for our generation, like, what was happening at that time out of Houston, like, there's probably not another movement that influenced the rest of the country and the rest of the world that we can really point to. I'm like, you were saying before we started taping, I'm a dad these days, proud dad of 2 daughters, 2.5 and 6.5. So I can't keep up with what the kids are doing these days and all that, but it is, and I feel so old, like, even saying things like this, but it's crazy to see how many artifacts in popular culture, especially amongst like the young kids, like kind of the fresh trend lingo stuff. And I'll try to explain it like, that's all a derivative of like car culture that was going on in Houston. That, you know, people talking about their drip and stuff like that. And I'm
Right.
like, you know, that's from dripping candy paint, and kids are like, what? Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, that was really the origin of it, right? Like, so it was cool. We were proud that that was our state's culture, and doing those throwback shows are not dissimilar from when Clifford was having, you know, the blues progenitors, the R&B progenitors, who their careers were maybe not what they once were, but he would invite them to Antone's and celebrate them like the legends that they were, and they appreciated that. And it was like in that little microcosm, it's like going back in time. And so that, yeah, they're really fun shows to throw and be a part of. And it's one of the things we do.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you guys do that. I mean, because there aren't like many spaces where, especially like really, like, I don't know, like when I think of Antone's and when I'm there, I'm like, man, this is a really nice room.
Yeah.
It really is. You know what I mean? And just to have a space for all the legacy rapper dudes and from Texas and even the newer ones. I think I think it's great because there aren't like I'm sure there are other places around town and other places like around the state or whatever where they do have shows, but I don't know. I just think it's great that you bring that in, right? In such a revered, very just nice venue, right? Because when I think of, a lot of times when I think of, when I think of like a hip, like not like a big arena level hip hop show, but when I think of like a smaller venue type show, I think of like it just being crazy and like the sound is bad. You know what I mean? There's like maybe a certain level of disorganization, if you will, a little bit. But this is like in a legit venue. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate it. I mean, I actually played there recently. Maybe was it during ACL weekend, or I can't remember. But anyways, it was the day after you guys had a rap show. And I walked in there and I was like loading in. I'm like, this place smells like weed. Like, I mean, it smelled like weed, like crazy weed. And I was like, wow. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, why does it, I forgot who was the front of house guy that day, but I just mentioned like why does it, there's a strong smell of weed in here.
Yeah.
And the sound guy's like, yeah, we had a rap show last night. And
Yeah.
I just thought it was great.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
that does happen, and you got to be careful. You don't want to have those shows before like somebody's wedding or something.
Dude,
But
it's funny.
But and Clifford used to sell weed, and weed's now practically legal, and it's all just like what is it? It's funny how taboo that used to be, and now it's like not taboo. But well, and the last thing I'll say, Mel, because I know you'll identify, there was a little bit as a production person or somebody who's always, had cared a lot about production being right, and also just as a promoter, and even when I was just throwing my own shows, with just whatever small little budget, like it just, we take it seriously the way things are presented. There's like a crispness and just a pro way of doing things. And growing up, so many times we got kind of bait and switched with these rap shows.
Oh yeah.
Standing outside of Spiro's till, waiting for the headliner to come on, and it's like already 2:10 a.m. and you're like, how is this going to work? Like, it's closed. Like, they haven't even gone. You know what I mean? I mean, that used to be the norm.
Right.
And there's 20 acts on, and you just feel kind of tricked. And so we try to present, just tried to like present it more like we present other shows, which is keep it simple, keep it crisp, like 3-4 acts. And there's sometimes showcases where we got a lot more people on the bill, but it's nice to just do it right and give it that kind of pro touch and cadence to where, it's like you really get the full experience. So that definitely, a little bit of that was definitely from growing up here, like you said, and always longing for, it to just, man, I just want it to sound like it does on the record. I just want to do justice to, and again, not unlike kind of what Clifford created. It was like Antone's is all about a place that just puts the artist on a pedestal, elevates the artist. Our thing is, as much as we love our audience, we love our artists first. Because if you make the artist the priority, you make them feel really good, them sound really good to themselves, really comfortable. The performance is going to be better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everybody's life is easier after that. Yeah. And everybody's experience is better after that. So, that all comes back to the way he did things.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that you're carrying that through, because I feel like a lot of people that have music venues, more transactional, I think with kind of like your experience, you try to make sure that there is a heartbeat that matters throughout from A to Z, and to have the artists actually be the most important, kind of aspect of the show, because sometimes they just feel like they're part of the transaction. And I remember the days of like Austin Music Hall was when Snoop would come in and we're like, where is he? It's like 1:45, and then he does like 2 songs in the end of the show.
Kind of his MO. I mean, I've done, there was, I don't really want to talk about me, but there was a time when I did open for Snoop, and it was at Stubbs. This was like 2003, 4. Anyways, that particular show that night at Stubbs coincided with like the Lakers being in the NBA Finals or whatever. So Snoop didn't want to leave the bus. He was just like, I'm not leaving until until this game is over with. And like this is pre-Serato. I did not, I played for so long that I started running out of records, so I started playing B-sides, right? But anyways, back to Antone's, like it's really awesome and that's the way it should be, that the artist is like that first and foremost, the most important thing, at an event, and like using the word crisp that's the perfect word.
Another thing that we love doing that I think is kind of an Austin thing is I love a good mashup. I love a bill that takes 2 kinds of music that you wouldn't normally expect going together. And again, these things that are kind of just intuitively like normal to us as Austinites, and then as Austin grows, we kind of realize, oh, maybe that's not the norm. And like, where did that come from? I think it came from house parties, where you would have like some random band play, and then like a DJ play like a hip hop set, and then maybe another band plays, and they're all different genres, but it's just sort of the eclectic Austin kind of vibe. So we love doing that, and kind of, one of the top examples that comes to mind in recent years was DJ Paul of 3-6 Mafia playing after Eric Gale's amazing blues guitar player, who's also from Memphis. And that was really cool. And we used to do some of those back at Lambert's. Remember, Mel, we used to kind of mash it up with, local rap acts playing with rock bands, and just have these like, so just keeping the tradition alive of our kind of unique approach, our Austin approach to music, which is everything. People say, well, I thought Antone's was a blues club, but yes, it has that origin, of course, but even Clifford's idea of the blues was not like, I guess, a traditional perspective. The blues, I like to say the blues is like the fable of the 5 blind men and the elephant.
Okay.
They're kind of all kind of exploring different areas of the elephant, and the elephant's like this. No, it's not. It's like this. And they're all right. Well, that's how, people that have different perspectives about the blues, everybody's right, because it's very regional. And there's a lot of different chapters and origins of the blues, but Texas blues, it's got a lot more of that Louisiana in it, especially from Clifford's world, being from Port Arthur, and a lot of his first music experiences were sneaking across the border, going to Zydeco dances, and So anyway, we don't know exactly how we inherited this eclectic kind of cornucopia of culture, but it's different, it's unique, it's ours, and it's fun to flaunt that and keep that tradition going.
Yeah, that's what I like. I mean, earlier you mentioned about, authenticity. And that's important in this day and age, especially like in 2026 Austin. I mean, you're longing for that because especially if you've lived here for a long time, you see the changes and change is hard, right? There are a lot of times, I'm only speaking for myself where, you drive somewhere and there's always like this thing that you would always see while you're driving, whether it's a restaurant or a bar or someplace that you liked and it's no longer there. It's just hard. You know what I mean? So, with all the properties that you're involved in, when you mentioned that, you want to keep it authentic and kind of rooted in what Austin's all about, but also kind of be present and maneuver in a way that like someone would in 2026. That's very important. I mean, it's because change is hard because like it's easy to be stuck in your ways, right? I mean, that's easy for people to do. Like change is hard. So for you to like, I hate the word pivot, but to pivot and stay rooted and authentic and also like, whenever I go to Poolburger or Arlen, or Antone, it's like it feels like Austin. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it very much. I mean, it doesn't feel, like, oh God, I'm in this like new shiny restaurant or bar that could easily be anywhere in the country, right?
Yeah, change is inevitable. I think time plays a big role in it. If things move slow enough, it feels like they're not moving, and if things are changing slow enough, it's really like an evolution, and mm-hmm. things have to evolve. If they don't, they kind of get lost in the past or stuck in the past. So it's just finding that right speed, and my personality might just be coincidentally well suited for that because I am I'm like the turtle, and the turtle and the hare.
But very tenacious.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's funny how many people are like, "Oh, that's, I'm totally the hare." Yeah. And I'm always like, how the story ends.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you don't be so self-deprecating.
Yeah.
The turtle wins. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
The turtle gets cocky and takes a nap. Not a big napper over here.
Slow and steady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I've always felt like I'm the sloth in the jungle, looking at the same leaf all day long.
Right.
Just studying it.
It's kind of like Denzel Washington in that movie American Gangster, where he's like yelling at like one of his cohorts, and he says, "The loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room." And that's the one thing I've noticed about a lot of people that have been here a long time, that are doing authentic things, just authentic things, or just in general. I think the people that are doing amazing things aren't super loud with it. They just do it. They just do what they do, and people see it. I think we, in this day and age of influencers and social media, like everyone's just trying to like out shout or try to be louder than everyone else so they can be heard or seen. And I don't know. I just definitely appreciate, whether it's Waterloo or what you do, Will, and, just other people that I have working relationships with. They're not loud with it. They just do it. They just do it, and then they let the work and whatever and just the fruit of their labor speak for itself or themselves or whatever.
It falls into place as it should.
We're so lucky. Like if you've spent a significant amount of your life in Austin, at this juncture in 2026, chances are you've lived a pretty charmed life. Mm-hmm. Like it's a special place. That's why people want to come here. And being born here, people ask me like, what's so special about Austin? I don't really know. It's hard to articulate, one answer. I don't think anybody knows, but the best explanation I've heard in modern times is I heard somebody say it was like one of the many tech CEOs that's moved here, and they said Austin's the kind of place where people talk more about their family than their job. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you can, I guess, especially these days, you can, there used to be, Austin used to be like you either worked for, the state or worked for UT or,
Yep.
I kind of always hear stories about how there was not this robust economy, but now you can kind of do whatever, but it's also a town that you want to actually kind of think long-term about planning, roots in and all that. So if you've been here for a while, you're lucky because it's almost like there's nowhere else traveling's great, but this is home, and there's, you don't have to go be seeking this, like better reality or something that's out there. You're kind of like content, and you want to have your role in it. Mm-hmm. But, and you're lucky if you can kind of find your role, but it allows for people to kind of like stick with something and just, enjoy that. Like, I don't want to say that it makes people complacent, but there is a comfort of being in a place where you can do your thing and have a nice life-work balance and have access to the amenities that we love, like the arts and music and good weather and the outdoors and Tex-Mex and
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
and so we've got it pretty good. And you don't need to be at that point. It's like you're not really competing. That's the other thing, is we're almost like Austin is, especially like kind of, well, you can say this for sure about maybe the music ecosystem and just kind of old school Austin. We're almost non-competitive to a fault, because it's not really about winning, but it's just about kind of coexisting, maintaining longevity.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's like, let's just keep this going.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we really have a good thing going. I mean, you know, just being here at Waterloo, and like when I worked here, there were a lot of employees here that were in bands, right? And so aside from working here, their other thing was being in a band, right? Now it's like, yeah, I mean, we are in 2026, and regardless of where you live now, whether it's Austin, Texas, or any other major city in the United States, it's getting increasingly harder to be in a band and also make a living at it and be able to afford, whether it's your mortgage or your rent or groceries. It's just hard, and I'm not around people that, around folks that are in bands here like I used to be.
Sure.
Remember that? I mean, we were just like elbow to elbow with all these guys in bands here at the record store, and just kind of, they were able to make it, just slanging records and working the reg, and, and then at night, doing shows with their band, and then, maybe once or twice a year they're doing regional shows. They're hopping in a van and doing their thing. But, it's very interesting now because we still have all those folks here. We still have a lot of people that are in bands, and they moved to Austin to be in a band, or maybe the band moves to Austin so they can, do what they do. Mm-hmm. But it's also at the same time, let's be realistic, whether you are a musician or you're a painter or, you are like, you're into ceramics or whatever you're into, it's getting harder. You know what I mean? And that's something I do think about all the time, but yeah, we lived a charmed life. Like I think Will said that, that we live in a town where, I mean, for the most part, you can do that. You know what I mean? You can be in a band, and and you can be creative here, and I still think that the ground here is still fertile enough to where you can grow something, very organically, and make somewhat of a living.
And I want to just say that kind of my take on it earlier was I am totally aware that that's a very glass is half full kind of perspective, and there's people that I don't want to sound naive or aloof to the fact that everything you just said. I mean, cost of living's just gone crazy in this town and just in general, and we've got some big challenges as a society, as a species, as a country. There's a lot of things going on that are not great, that we're not happy about, not proud about. So there is that side of it too. But yeah, Austin, the Austin mentality has always been a little bit like take care of your own backyard, take care of your own, take care of your neighbor, kind of like start kind of small. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. And there's always going to be naysayers. You know, it's funny, like since I was born here, I never like moved here for something. I think people that moved here as adults, I call it the brochure, you know, at that time, that was what Austin was.
Right.
And so now 20, 30 years later, they kind of pulled the brochure and wave it out, you know, out of their back pocket and wave it at you. This wasn't on the brochure. Wasn't the Austin I moved to. And it's like, dude, that's not how it works, you know? Being born here and not ever knowing or making a conscious decision, it's just been kind of exciting. You know, we could have been in a city that was like going down instead of this city that was just kind of going up in all these ways. So with that presents a lot of challenges, and you see those old statesman, you know, articles that get posted online sometimes where it reads like something that somebody could have written yesterday, kind of ranting about old Austin, we're losing our culture and old Austin's dead. And then the punchline is like, that was in the 40s, you know. Have you seen some of those things?
No, absolutely.
So it's been that kind of naysaying narrative has been going on forever also, but we're an optimistic bunch here, and you know, there's just something that I wanted to stick in there because it's kind of a saying of mine is because, yeah, we're this city where money has become a big part of our world, and maybe that wasn't the case in the old Austin. One of the things that you hear about the old Austin is that it was an inexpensive place to live, and so that's, you know, why artists could thrive here, and it was this kind of oasis, you know, in Texas of free thinking and you know, University of Texas obviously being a big part of kind of having young people coming here, and and then on top of that, cheap place to live. It was like, yeah, it was an oasis. And so that's kind of never going to be like sustainable over the long term. But then with the boom of just what Austin became and all the money that came with that, it's, you know, since we've been talking about our hip hop roots, it's just like more money, more problems. It's like now money's become now it's all about money, you know, and I think we need to be careful about that, because that is not,
I agree.
That is not the Austin, ideal. You know, I love that Austin is a city where our heroes are not just the people that made the biggest tower or the biggest pile of money, but just the person that ran the same business for 30 years. You know, those are our heroes. I mean, we're sitting here at Waterloo Records because that is the stuff that money can't buy. That was somebody's life. That was somebody's life's work to impact a community, sustain culture. And my saying is that you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't like the world you live in, what's the point?
Exactly.
Right.
So the Austin mentality is find something you love, hopefully, or find something that inspires you. Find something that you can do that creates a value in the community and is, you know, beyond yourself. And if you can make money doing that, great, because you need some money to sustain yourself, and obviously, but you know, money can be a middleman sometimes, because people think, well, I'll just make a bunch of money and then I'll be able to do whatever I want to do. But it doesn't often work out that way. They forget about time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get too focused, it's like you can almost circumvent the money sometimes and say, I'm going to invest my energy and my time directly into the outcome I want, which maybe it's better, school system for my, kids to be a part of, or better neighborhood, or more, a more robust like ecosystem of businesses in this certain, a certain interest of mine, or in a certain part of town, or whatever it is. Austin is a culture, a very entrepreneurial culture of people just going out and doing that, and it is kind of like a rising tide raises all ships. Everybody kind of has their role in the village, and to your point, it's not a competition for who can be the most successful or the loudest or get the most attention, but if we can just kind of find our niche and do our thing and do it well over a long period of time, it's like this beautiful balance where we all, benefit from one another.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I totally agree with you. There was a time when, when we had when the growth here was crazy. I mean, it's still crazy, but I was mad, right? I was just like, man, this, I was mad for a while, probably like most people, you know what I mean? Not most people, but I was just like, man, like, all these people moving to Austin and yada yada. I mean, this was a long time ago. We're talking about maybe 10 years ago. Back then, I was just kind of like just kind of mad, a little salty about it. But that was then, and this is now. But now I look at it like with the people moving here and just the growth or whatever. I've, like you were saying, like the tide raises all. Yeah, I think that we all benefit from that, and it's just a matter of how you frame it in your head. I definitely know that as far as what I do and in my DJ career and what have you, yeah, I think that some of the things that I've done, like a lot of the things I've done in the past 10 years, would have not been possible if it wasn't for the growth in this town. Because if you want to go way back, I mean, there was a time like one of my first, in quotes, big money gigs, was on the east side, right? And these gangster dudes asked me to play at their house on the east side. This was like 97 or something like that. It was something crazy like that. Anyways, this is like in the area where Target is now and Whole Foods or whatever, that's over there on East 6. And it was this house, and the guy saw me at Nasty's, like, hey, dude, I would really love you and your boy to come down to come to our house like on a Friday and do what you do at our house. I'm like, okay, cool. It's like, yo, I'll pay you X amount of dollars. No, like he said $300. And like at that time, I was like,
yeah, back then,
that's the most money I've ever made DJing. And so me and my buddy Eric, we go there. And dude, it's like this house on the east side, dude. And it was him and his boys with a radio like outside, and and a bunch of pit bulls. And we set up in this house, and there's nothing in the house. Anyways, long story short, like we did this gig, no one was there. They were all outside just hanging. He writes me a check, and then, I deposit the check, and then the bank a week later is like, hey, dude, we just want to let you know that that check bounced. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, like, I mean, we could easily just stay back. We could always stay in 1997 where I'm playing these gigs and I'm getting jacked basically, or we could fast forward to 2026 where there's like, you name whatever entity that's downtown, Indeed, Google, whatever, and like, hey, we want you to DJ whatever, you know what I mean? And yeah, we'll pay you, and the check will clear, right? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, for the most part, it always does, even before the boom. But I'm just saying that, there are a lot of things that I do long, for like, from the past, but I'm very realistic and I really enjoy now. I think that even with, the tall buildings and all the new, like bright and shiny, like spots in town, I think what makes this town, at least for me, is the music community and the folks that have lived here for a very long time, which includes you, Will. It includes John Coons here, and all like just all the folks that have been involved in the music industry in Austin, Texas. I think even though there are like tons, we're outnumbered by the new folks. I think what makes Austin still Austin to me are those folks that I see whenever I, play an event or I go somewhere and they're running sound or, they still run a venue or whatever. I still, to this day, feel like, it still feels like Austin to me.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the folks that do this, they're not doing it for anybody else. They're doing it because they have this inner passion that needs to be fulfilled. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those things where I think with Austin, it's like the reason why I decided to stay in Austin when I came here on a fluke was because I felt like everything was reciprocal. I felt like people appreciated one another and met them where they were at. There was no like one-upping. There was nothing like that. Everybody just kind of seemed very happy. I'm like, I'll stay here for a while. I don't have to go back to Cali anytime soon.
Yeah.
But, coming from like California, being part of the RTF program in San Francisco, working on some movies here, and that's why it was the third coast of filmmaking back then. And I don't know if that's coming back, but they had always said, like, don't go to LA to make a movie. Make a movie in your hometown about what you know, and people will come to you. And I kind of feel like in Austin, people are like, I'm just going to do this because this is me. This is who I am. And then it just seemed like more and more people started coming on into Austin. They're like, what is this place all about? This is a little bit too good to be true. It's very harmonious here because people are like, we have nothing. We're not trying to show out, So it's just kind of like one of those things where I'm just like, I like this vibration here. And so I decided to stay. The rest is history. But yeah, it was just like, oh my God. So I want to kind of rewind with you, Will, and talk about your first, because this is kind of like the center of the podcast. Were your parents musical? Did you grow up listening to music?
So yes, they were. I'm the youngest of 3 siblings. My brother and sister are 6 and 8 years older than me.
Okay.
And so growing up, my sister was kind of the star performer of the house. She was a singer and pianist, and just, that was like, she wanted to, that was her dream, was to be an artist. And she actually had a little run at it while she still lives in Nashville.
Okay.
Because that's kind of where she went for music. And so I kind of was around it at a young age as well. But where I think the genes really came from, it was my dad. Mm-hmm. He was a doctor his whole career, but he's a bluesman. Mm. He was kind of a closet, at home, harmonica, blues guitar, and in his retirement, he's actually been able to kind of circle back and plays in a blues band once a week.
That's awesome.
And he told me a few years ago, he said, "Can you believe at my age, finally, get into," I think they had gotten to play some venues on Ham Day, and he was pretty proud
Good
about
for him.
Their touring the city. He said, "Can you believe at my age, finally get in to do what I always dreamed of and play, blues harmonica in a blues band?" And I was like, "Well, Dad, they don't want some young guy playing blues harmonica. You're in your prime. Like you're the prime age for it." He went to UT. He was actually born and raised in Austin as well, but he went to UT, and the house mom at their dormitory apparently, kind of the supervisor apparently would say, I'm worried about Mr. Bridges. He's just up in his room listening to the blues. And the blues kind of was still hip in late 60s and stuff, but it kind of became uncool cool fast in the
For sure.
70s,
Yeah,
mid-70s.
yeah.
So my dad kind of, I think, was there for, like, I mean, that was pretty cool to, like, think of a time when, like, Jimmy Reed was, like, the hip party music of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Sure.
But he carried that with him, and that's how I got introduced
Okay.
to the blues at a young age, because he would take me to Antone's.
Okay.
I went to the Guadalupe Club with them a handful of times,
Wow.
and remember meeting Clifford. And I bought a chopped beef sandwich from Stubberfield
wow.
in line. While you're in line, you could buy, and that's one of those memories where I think back, like, did that really
Yeah.
happen? But
Yeah.
I mean, I remember my dad being like, that's the Stubberfield. That's the man who makes this barbecue. And so it was pretty cool and made an impression on me, and
Yeah.
all that. But yeah, my dad still plays, and my mom is a music lover, and she's very artistic. She's actually a painter, and
Wow.
you know, my whole life was painting, and continues to do that. And my grandmother, I think, on my dad's side had a music gene. So anyway, we
Yeah.
had a little bit of it kind of just sprinkled throughout, but it was very common, you know, in Austin, especially in those days. Like, we would do music camps and stuff during the summer. I would go to Michelle Murphy's Natural Ear Music Camp at the Arc at Austin Rehearsal
Oh,
Complex.
nice.
And it was like going to soccer camp or something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
are you going to be a pro soccer player? No. Do you even like soccer? No. But it's just something to send your kids to,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
in the summer. And so, yeah, it was very common, you know,
Yeah.
to just like play in a little garage band, or just, you know, have somebody their dad has a drum kit in the garage, and you just kind of do that. So, yeah, I had a little bit of it in my family, but then also just indoctrinated into it as a young kid growing up.
With all those music camps, did you pick up any instruments? Did you play any instruments?
Yeah, I'm pretty proficient in every garage band instrument, in fact.
Okay. What was your most challenging, and what was the most, like, natural to you?
Oh, good question. Well, guitar is probably my, you know, strongest, with keys kind of as second. Actually, because my sister was a pianist, and we just had like piano teachers come to the house, and we had a Baldwin Acrosonic Spinette, which, get this, it is now in the green room at Antone's, the piano that I grew up with
nice.
as a kid.
Oh, that's
It
great.
went all the way to Nashville with my sister. And then when she got older and got a bigger house, she got a baby grand, which was like her dream.
Yeah.
And so she was going to get rid of it. And I said, no.
Yeah.
And so for probably many times the value of this piano, we had it moved back to Texas.
Okay.
And a Baldwin Spinette, or a Baldwin Acrosonic, is actually, like, it's kind of the only legit spinette size upright. But I always send her pictures of it. Sometimes I'll pop in the green room and be like, man, that thing is still there. And so many amazing artists and like big time, like, you know, artists have played on that thing now, which is really cool, because they walk in the green room and, oh, look, this little piano. And they're like, it's in tune. And then they start jamming on it. But yeah, I started taking piano lessons on that thing when I was probably 5. And then I wanted to switch to drums.
Yep.
Because,
Drums.
you know, it's just like,
It's
you're
fun.
a boy, and just like, you know, when my mom says she used to set up drums for me with the pans and things when I was a little kid, and I loved doing that. So
Nice.
never got the trap kit though. Never got the drum kit allowed in the house. We just didn't really have a good space for it. I had like some practice pads, but I'd go to Tommy's drum shop and do lessons there. And then I started taking bass lessons
Okay.
at Straight Music. And that's when Straight used to be right on Lamar, next to the original Whole Foods.
Yeah.
So I would go to a 45-minute lesson, and my mom would go shop for, you know, groceries for the week. And bass was cool, and I joke that I think I'm a bass player in a guitar player's body. Whatever that means. I think as I maybe, you know, later in life, I'm going to circle back and really become one with the bass, because I love the role that bass plays
Lots of
in
things.
music
Yeah,
and
yeah.
in the groove and
Yep, I
kind
agree.
of being like being so influential, but kind of being kind of in the foreground, so to speak. But then it was inevitable, I suppose, that finally circled around to guitar.
Uh-huh.
We're a guitar town,
Yeah.
and played in some bands. Because I guess I'm actually kind of introvert leaning, but I can kind of, I was, I guess, confident enough to, in these little camps and things, like raise my hand and be the one that would go up and try to sing and stuff. So anyway, so I kind of in the little bands I was playing in, I became the front man, and it just sort of made sense to, okay, well, what are you going to do with your hands? So you
Yeah.
got to learn how to play guitar. So yeah.
Yeah,
and,
so you got your feet wet.
but
Nice.
in the process of doing that, I kind of played the full gamut of garage band instruments. I soon, in my trajectory as an artist, as a musician, encountered other musicians who were actually really good and who just like had the special something that I did not have. And that's when I started getting into production and kind of the infrastructure side of things. I reassessed my role in the village, as I like to say.
Yeah.
And started, anytime there would be a budget for anything, like $300 to build a stage, PA, and like a whole bill of bands, out of some tent at the Austin Rodeo or Austin Art Car Parade. I used to get to do the music for Austin Art Car Parade, which was on a moving trailer running off a generator. I would go to Rock and Roll Reynolds, and they'd be like, "You're not putting this on a boat again, right?" I'd be like, "No." Be like, "Trailer." Be like, "It's gonna be stationary once the music starts." Like, they had in the notes like put PA on boat. Be careful next time. Rock and Roll Reynolds.
He had his rules.
So amazing. Yeah. Well, so Jim Norman is my neighbor. Jim and Nancy Norman live kind of catty corner across the street from us, and Jim was the founder of Rock and Roll Reynolds.
Yeah.
And they're awesome and great neighbors and really sweet to our girls. But I was telling somebody just the other day, like, Austin would not be the music town that it is without Rock and Roll Reynolds.
No.
Yeah, we discussed
It
that.
was a very novel business model, especially at the
sure.
time. It's kind of almost like a micro loan philosophy.
Dude, you think?
And which is all about opportunity, right? Like, it's giving up.
Sure.
When my first music internship ever was in Nashville, and I was asking my roommate, "Hey, where's the place where you where's the place where you rent cheap like equipment?" He was like, "What?"
I know.
Like the place where you can get like an amp for like $10 or something. He's like, "Dude, what are you talking about? There's a backline. There's like backline places." It's like, yeah, but they charge like $100. I'm talking about what's the place where you get the cheap stuff. And he said, "Man, that doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah.
And so, for those who don't know, Rock and Roll Reynolds is a place still today, but it used to be just right on South Congress.
Yep.
Where you could walk in and for $5, $7, $10, walk out with like a full rig, like guitar and an amp, everything you needed.
Yeah.
All the way up to a full PA, whatever you needed. And the only way that they were able to do it for that cheap is they would make you fill out this like 7-page application
With your mother,
with your
maiden
references.
name.
They would call your references on the spot, and while you're like in front of you, ask like, "Is this person responsible? Like, would you like?"
Yeah, basically a background check.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes you didn't get the stuff. Sometimes they're like, "Yeah, the first two references were pretty good, but sounds like the third one, like, you doesn't, maybe you owe that guy some money or something. I don't know." Anyway, it was really innovative at the time and allowed people to like go put PAs together and full bands together and whatever. So sorry, I digress, but I would, Rock and Roll Rentals certainly played a role in, big role in my ability to book bands, and put, little productions together. I would get the erect a set stage from the rental place on 5th Street. And for like, $300 was like actually a healthy budget for, it's like, oh yeah, we can get probably 3 or 4 bands, full stage lights, $300.
How long were you doing production stuff? Like when you got into it? I mean, do you still do production stuff?
I do. I don't get to do the fun stuff anymore, as I say, but I was a front of house engineer for a long time at Lambert's.
You were the
That's right. That's
exactly.
Right.
And then I always had some kind of project studio in my house, basically from college kind of on. And so I guess I got into that like mainly in college. And as a DJ, you have to quickly, learn all that because it's like, plugging into random existing systems and bolstering it with whatever. Yeah. So you become a master of rock and roll rentals.
Yeah.
And now, of course, I guess to bring it all full circle, like having that experience on the instrumentation side, just having dipped my toe in all I'm certainly a jack of all trades, master of none, which is sometimes, can work against you. But in my case, it gives me great perspective in being able to see the big picture and kind of understand the different roles and the nuances of those and still chime in on things pertaining to production and sound. And, my sound guys will kind of freak out when I'm like, I think there's like a little, I think there's a little node at like 230K and maybe like notch it at 4.3. And they're like, what? Dude, are you like, how do you know this stuff? They're freaked out that I know the
your eardrum was
spectrum
just made differently.
I kind of fake it actually. I just say those numbers to make it's close enough, right?
You weren't born with sonar.
It was actually at 260, but damn, that's pretty close. But it gave me a well-rounded background for now. What I say is I learned how to fly a Cessna. Yeah. And now I get to
really
with
for real.
No.
But like metaphor. I if you haven't caught on, I think and speak in a lot of metaphors. I learned how to like fly the crop duster on a lot of these different things, the instruments, the production, the stage build, the all that. And now I get to work with people that fly like the F-16s. And so it's just cool to just have a little bit of that context. But of course, I don't even know how to turn on like the modern,
Sure.
I'll literally be on having to FaceTime one of our production managers like, hey, I'm here. Some people are taking pictures of Antone's and I don't know how to get the stage lights on.
Yeah.
Can you?
I think that, you and I have like a lot of parallels when it comes to that because, just through my years, just all the things that I've been involved in, as a DJ and then just also, working production. Yeah. Like you said, jack of all trades, master of none. It's good to have that knowledge, right? It really, especially like if you're an artist, like, if I walk in, and you're like in a venue and, the front of house guys or the monitor guys are like, oh God, here we go. Here's a DJ, right?
Yeah.
And I walk in with a Pelican with every cable known to man, and I just know how things work, and I just know what they hate, right? And so when I make it having that knowledge and making it easier on them, it just all like kind of goes back to just experience and working all those random things like you did, But back to rock and roll rental, it was like a rite of passage for everybody in this town.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I remember my first time, like I forgot what I rented. Was it a monitor, like a powered monitor? Yeah. But it freaked me out when they're like, okay, we need to get your parents' info. I was just like, what? At first I was kind of shocked. I'm like, I feel like I'm being, I don't know. I just thought my privacy was being, just kind of intruded, if you will. But that's what you did here. I think every DJ, every musician, every band, I mean, even to this day, there's, events that I've done, regardless of the size, a lot of them still go to Rock and Roll Rental.
Yeah.
They still do. I mean, it's a go-to.
Yeah. And it's great that's still there.
Yeah.
There's whole businesses built off of, like, they don't own their own gear or inventory. They just go there every week getting the stuff they need for the production that weekend. Whole, like, production companies,
Right. Yeah.
And bands that figured out how to tour or just, like, do their thing, especially like party bands or cover bands and things where they're like, yeah, why own the gear and maintain it when you can just have a really good relationship with Rock and Roll Rentals.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. They were just ahead of their time. This was pre-digital, pre-internet, where at that time, like, literally, like, a fifth of the square footage of the store was just the filing system for all of the, they had to have all this stuff on analog. And to your point, Mel, now I feel like everybody's kind of come to terms with, oh man, we just kind of our information and everything is just like nothing's sacred. It's all kind of out there. But yeah, in those days, there was nothing that you would, like, interact with that needed that level of information. You could get a car without having to call your parents and ask them about, like, are they a good person?
Yeah.
It was, and I remember people getting irate, and you'd kind of just chuckle, like, yeah, you don't get it, man. This is just kind of
Because they get robbed all the time. That's the thing.
That's true.
I mean, I think that's where it all stems from.
Yeah.
Because I remember one time what I kind of asked someone. I mean, this was like probably late 90s, early 2000s. I can't remember. I remember asking, just out of curiosity, the guy behind the counter, like, so why do you guys do all this stuff? And then he just mentioned, like, just this one particular time when someone rented, like, I think they used to have a baby grand.
Oh.
And someone rented the baby grand. And this is before they did the whole, like, basically, like a credit check, background info thing. And he was like, yeah, someone rented a baby grand from us, and they just ran off with it. And so ever since then, they're like, we are getting we're gonna know everything about you before you walk out with this Yorkville
out of all the
powered
things to steal.
floor monitor.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, I've heard Jim kind of tell the story, and he was basically moving to Austin, and there was kind of a couple business models that he was kind of thinking of doing, but he had heard, I might be messing up the story, but I feel like what he told me is he'd kind of heard of this model kind of in another market or somewhere, or kind of maybe not specifically applied to music, but it was very much a like the microloan thing. It's kind of like this counting on the accountability of the community, and with that kind of applied rigor of people basically not ripping you off.
Yeah.
You could offer things for a discounted price, and it's like this economic kind of stimulator. You know?
Yeah, I think the folks that were able, like, maybe once they kind of were, once they got past being startled with the background check, if you will, they were like, including myself, I was so grateful that I was able to get like a powered monitor for very little money. You know what I mean? And if you kept it and you kept paying on the rental, after a while, like it's yours.
I know.
Before you know it, it's
true.
yours.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's like a rent to own.
And the discipline, I had those employees. I mean, it was like Fort Knox. I remember at one time a little older, and I got kind of frustrated. Like, y'all, I have been renting here since I was 12 years old. Like, so 8 years or whatever it was at the time, and y'all still make me do the same whole process. They'll be like, oh, it's like, hey, what's up, Will? In for the regular? Like, oh yeah. They'll be like, oh, sorry, man. Your thing expired like last
Yesterday.
last week. And I'm looking at the clock
again.
like, this is going to take like an hour. And they're like, the policy.
Yeah.
So they did not budge. And, it would be like, I'm in a pinch. Like, we're at the gig. Like, we just need this one thing. Like, can I send somebody to get it?
No.
They're like,
No.
there's
Like, hell
zero,
no.
like,
Yeah.
there's zero chance that's happening, bro.
Hell
Like,
no.
you've got, like,
whole
only
new
you
system.
can, only you can pick it up. But it's so awesome, and I hope, Jim, I love gushing on him because, it's just been a great economic kind of stimulator. And the last thing I'll say is I remember as a kid being in there and watching, way before I ever met him, watching Jim kind of pop in the store, and it was like kind of a summer day, and he's got this little red convertible that he still has, by the way, and he came in with like, just all Austin business owner vibes. The uniform, at the time, some like huaraches and a little kind of man purse, and
Sure.
kind of like his shirt had been kind of like, basically looks like he's on vacation, basically.
Yeah.
And he just
Very
kind of
classic Austin.
comes in just light on his feet, just whistling, just having a good day, and checking on the store, checking on a few things, kind of, probably picking up some cash, take to the bank, something,
Sure.
And and then walking back out, driving off, and I was just like, man, that is the dream.
Yeah,
like,
that's
that
the
guy
life.
has it figured out. And that goes back to Austin. That is the dream, I mean,
Sure.
It was like, he's got a great business.
Yeah.
He's doing something that's cool in the community. He's obviously passionate about it,
Yeah.
has a great team. And I didn't think anything about, like, I wonder how much money this place makes or anything like that.
No, right.
But
Is that kind of how you formulated, like, what do I want to do as I get older? Was to own businesses? Because you saw how kind of free he seemed to be and also part of the community. You kind of loved that combo? Or was it just kind of like by osmosis what you fell into after X, Y, and Z?
So I mentioned my brother is 6 years older than me, and I remember I always loved music, and I always thought it'd be cool to do something in music, but I also would be told that, hey, that's really hard, and like maybe you should make music kind of a fun thing. Don't count on that because it's really tough and da da da.
Yeah.
And I think my dad had maybe been told that because I knew he was passionate about music, and there was probably a time in his life where maybe he was thinking about that.
Yeah.
And so I think in my mind thought, well, maybe there's a way I can like de-risk that a little bit by like doing something music kind of adjacent, and then fast forward to, I remember when my brother was kind of like getting out of college, and since he was 6 years ahead of me, that's a lot happens in those 4 years of leaving home, and he went to college. So I'm, I guess, a sophomore in high school as he's exiting college, and I just remember having a conversation, and I hope if he ever hears this that it's all love and respect, because he's done amazing for himself, but he was going into insurance. And I remember thinking, for the first time in my life, you're not doing the coolest thing I've ever, like, your older brother's always the coolest thing. And it was the first time, and you want to do anything your older brother's doing. And the first time I was like, wait a second, that doesn't sound cool at all.
Right.
I think I'm going to have to kind of, this is where we part ways. Rob.
Yeah.
Now again, he's still in insurance, and he's actually kind of, I know a lot more about that industry now, and he's kind of like a perfect personality and fit for it, and now I'm actually kind of, maybe I should have gone into insurance, but it was for the first time ever I realized, man, I got to start thinking about this now. What do I want to do? Because I remember at the time for him it was a little bit like, I don't know what to do, and I'm kind of this insurance thing. So I just thinking like, man, that sounds like I need to get ahead of this.
Yeah.
So I just can remember thinking, I know I love music, and I know I want to kind of be a part of that. I don't really understand like the business side of it. So maybe if I can, instead of having to fight up the ladder of just like the crowded competitive ladder of being a musician or being, you know, in the limelight, which I actually didn't care so much about. I just wanted to be kind of close to it and working. I was like, let me find like another way that I can continue to kind of pace up, and then I can kind of like be up there, you know, and then I can kind of like jump over to the other ladder occasionally, or I can still, you know, I'm not left behind. It's not like the dream is. And I also remember a visceral feeling of, especially like I was still DJing, and we were starting to work on Lambert's and kind of, you know, put that project together at a young age. And I remember being like the fear of losing the dream. Because other friends were having to kind of, now a few, you know, more time has gone by, and other friends of mine are getting jobs and kind of getting into the real world, assimilating into the real world. And it was like, I was kind of shaken by like, oh man, am I gonna lose the dream? And so I would kind of psych myself up or pep myself up by, as long as you keep pursuing it, as long as you never quit, you know,
True.
as long as you never quit, then like the dream's always still there. You're still, and that was kind of my mantra going into, I guess, being a business owner and wanting to always make sure that I was able to at least be kind of peripheral or adjacent to music.
Yeah.
And it also was kind of in line with me identifying hyper talented people that it was like, okay, I know for a fact that's like what you're here on earth to do. How can I help you? And what resources or infrastructure are we maybe missing, lacking here in our local ecosystem that can help support that?
Yeah.
So Gary Clark Jr., my buddy from Austin High, also business partner in Antone's, is certainly one of those key people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where I was kind of like, okay, not going to compete with that guy on the guitar, but how can I be of service to like his career and his craft? And, you know, also like, this is our city, you know, and like, we need to be able to, I mean, obviously we need to be able to put our best and brightest like on a pedestal, and
you got to rep your city, right?
Yeah. So you remember Gary playing Lambert's, you know, back in the day.
Yeah.
And at that time, there were not a lot of music venues that everybody had bad sound, and everybody paid shady. It was like, you kind of, I mean, even when I was playing in little bands, there was nothing worse than that feeling when you kind of go to get paid, and they're kind of like, they're kind of like, you know, fumbling with some cash and
pulling it out of their pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
and
Coins.
And it's kind of like in their head, they're thinking, okay, how much of this am I going to keep? How much am I going to actually give to them? And then they just kind of, and then one of the hands kind of like, you're like, wow, how was that calculated? It just made you feel so icky, just like, that for sure was not fair. Whatever. I don't care how much I make, I just want it to be fair.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, and I want it to be based on what I actually, and it usually wasn't fair in those days, and it sounded bad.
Yep.
And you just didn't really feel, you definitely felt like it was audience first, and then the band was like, hey, y'all are on, come on, do your thing, you know?
Yeah.
And so even then I was like, we got to reverse that. And so with the stage and the, you know, venue we put upstairs at Antone's, at Lambert's, it was all about, I mean, I thought that was a big, you know, I look in there now and it's still this great 200 cap room, but to me it was like, might as well have been a great, you know, concert hall. Yeah. And we just wanted to make it sound good. We wanted to be really straightforward and straight up and take care of musicians and pay them like, you know, it was very just straight up. And we also had barbecue at our disposal, so we could feed them and kind of make them feel special, wine and dine them a little bit.
Yeah.
and those were the days. It was awesome. We had like on any given week, an amazing cast of these weekly residencies, including Gary, including Savannah Chaffel,
That's right. I
Emily
remember.
Gimble, and the Tosca String Quartet
Oh,
girls
yes.
there with Glover
Yeah.
Gill, Ephraim Owens, Brandon Temple, playing jazz on Sundays with Red Young.
Yeah.
It was cool. Anyway, I really, that's when I think I really felt like I found kind of truly found my role in the village.
Yeah.
Truly found my passion. There was nothing that fulfilled me more than just seeing. And in those days, I was doing everything, so I got to really see. I mean, I was emailing the artist from inception of like, are you available this date, all the way to setting up sound for them,
Probably settling, right?
and then handing them the money at the end of the night. And there was no better feeling than like
Yep.
handing over a well-deserved stack of 1s and 5s and 10s, and then just doing it all over again, and just feeling like I did it. I'm in the music business.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic because I mean, you're applying just the experiences that you've had, whether you were in a band or you've gone to shows or when you were still DJing or whatever. What you don't like, so you apply that to what you're doing now. Where like, okay, I know what these DJs or these musicians, and I've been to shows where the sound's crappy and like the experience is bad, and you could see the band like not really having a fun time on stage. But now it's like throughout your life, you've used these life experiences and you've applied it to everything that you do now. You could, like, everywhere I go that that you are, all the places that you are involved in, we could name them all. It would take forever, but you could see that when you're there, right? Everything's done right, as opposed to like, we can go back to the Dirty Six days when the mob owned like Dirty Six, and it's just the sound's bad and everything's shady, and and all that kind of stuff. It's not. You can't get away with that now. You just can't. You know what I mean? And shout out to you, and and I could say this. I'm sound like a broken record, but when you go into Antone's, it's like it's just the minute you set foot, it's quality, right? So salute to you. But changing gears, because we need to go through this real quick. So aside from the blues shows that you went to with your dad, what was like the first show that you really wanted to go to by yourself? Or I'm sure your parents being there is okay too, but like a show that you really wanted to go to when you were young.
And got to go to, or didn't get to go to?
No, or we can name both.
Both. With your money or with, someone paying for you, like.
Yeah. The first show I went to by myself was a pretty epic one. Andy Langer asked this question a few years ago for some article or something, and so I had to actually kind of jog my memory and do the research a little bit, because it's a little bit of a blur. You're growing up. We used to go to a lot of in stores.
Yeah.
Like at skate shops and stuff, and so my one of my best friends, T. Murphy, and I would sneak out of his dad's house and go to skate shops, and then go eat at Katz's afterwards.
Yeah. There you go.
We kind of lived like in the early 90s, it was kind of like, it's kind of like a movie, or kind of like, we really were doing that. You just kind of like, it wasn't that dangerous, and there was a lot of sneaking out and acting sort of like adults when you were really like 14, and it's kind of funny looking back, because we thought it was totally normal. We would go see some music, and then like go get like a healthy meal afterwards and then go to bed. It was just a lot late. We weren't like doing really anything that bad. It was just
Right.
We
Just
weren't
doing your
really.
thing,
We just
yeah.
weren't supposed to be out that at that hour. But like the first big show, and so there weren't a ton of big shows. I remember seeing like people didn't even tour Austin in the 80s. So I remember seeing shows at the rodeo. I remember going to Aquafest. Back in the day. But sorry for the big buildup. But the first show that I went to on my own, Rage Against the Machine, South Park Meadows.
Nice.
Wow.
The Roots opened, and they were a last minute fill for I forget who was supposed to open. And I was in the mosh pit hardcore.
Oof.
And it's like I knew it was an awesome show, but apparently that's like a legend, one of the most legendary like South Park Meadows shows
Yeah.
ever. And yeah, somebody's mom like dropped us all. We were all crammed in some Suburban and just like dropped us off with her hazards on, pull over the side of the highway, we'll all just jump out. All right, pick you up in 3 hours.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, and back then South Park Meadows, I mean that was a trek. I mean that wasn't now like when I think of South Park Meadows, I think of the shopping center and it's close. But back then, I thought it was a drive. I thought it was like it was like a long drive to get there.
Was it like the backyard? 'Cause I've never been to South Park Meadows. Like when
I mean, it was
don't know if
basically a field. What show did I go to? I remember like hopping in the bed of a truck and going to this show. It was like Ozo Motley. It was like a Ozo Motley hip hop show at South Park Meadows. But I do recall it was a drive. At least I thought it was.
I think I remember reading about that Rage Against the Machine concert at South Park Meadows, and that was, I guess, and you could correct me if you were there. I mean, I wasn't there, but basically the crowd when they went on, the whole crowd was like one big heartbeat, like, and that is something I miss from like big time energy shows. That's like, oh wow. I wonder if the pendulum will start to swing the other way. Where people are just like, I don't
I'm
need
pretty
this
sure
anymore.
they opened with "Killing in the Name of," and it was just
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So crazy.
Nice.
So when you, like many of us, I mean, we got an allowance or whatever, but I mean, my parents threw me whatever they could.
Yeah,
But
yeah, me
anyways,
too.
for me to acquire records or whatever, I mean, I had to save up my lunch money.
sure.
And kind of go hungry for maybe a couple weeks or what have you
At lunch.
to go buy like some records or whatever. But anyways, Will. So what did you what was the where did you go buy your first record, right? And how did you pay for it? I always ask people, did you shoplift it? Because that's kind of a rite of
People did do
passage.
that.
Like you go into a record store and you're like this like little kid and you're just like, I'm gonna steal this cassette, dog.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna steal. Hey, you're with your boy.
It's
and
so
you're like,
tiny.
You're like
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
around and you're like, yo, I'm gonna steal this Wu-Tang cassette. You know what I mean? All right,
Don't
just
tell mom.
cover my bag. Make sure no one's looking. I'm gonna put this in my pants. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what was that like for
So
you?
for sure, Waterloo Records,
There you go.
Wow.
because I grew up kind of close to here, 29th and Lamar,
Okay.
and this was definitely. It was like that or Tower
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
on the drag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my mom would bring me here because this was the authentic spot. And man, I'm trying to remember. I would get a lot of, to be honest, most of my stuff were hand-me-downs
Okay.
since my brother and
Oh, that's
sister were
true.
6 and 8 years older than me.
Yeah.
I can remember the first time. I can remember being in my mom's car, picking up my sister from like an overnight, at her friends, and she was running to the car and she had a CD and it was like the first CD that she had ever seen, and her friend had let her borrow it, even though she didn't have a CD player, but she just wanted.
Right.
And ironically, it was Nirvana, Nevermind.
Nice.
So my mom's first impression of a CD is this naked baby, album cover. So it was like, CDs were already kind of like provocative, just like this thing. It's entering our house that we can't even play it, And what does it all mean? So I would get music from them, and my brother used to give me mixtapes. I remember him taking me into his room, and he would be like, "Shh, don't tell Mom and Dad." And he'd put a cassette on, and it would be Two Live Crew.
Oh,
and
dog.
We'd listen to Two Live Crew, and he made me a mixtape where it was one side Two Live Crew and the other side Run DMC, Tougher Than Leather, because you could
snap.
fit like 2 albums on it. You know?
That's true.
And then I know I've done a good job of doing everything but answer y'all's direct questions today.
No.
Which is
It's okay.
but I remember also in those days you could go to the library, and I would go to like our local public library, and you could rent vinyl.
Yeah.
And I remember renting or checking out, I guess is rather, the Fabulous Thunderbirds
Oh, cool.
album, the one Tough Enough,
yeah, that record, yeah.
and just like having that thing, and also my little stereo in those days. It was common to have the cassette player with the LP with the vinyl player on
Yes.
top,
Yeah.
and then when CDs came out, you like had your Discman going into the aux.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, so it didn't matter what medium it was coming at me.
Yeah, you were equipped.
But as far as like going in and purchasing, I would for sure. Yeah, my mom would kind of help me out. I was the baby of the family, and so I remember her, you know, not only helping me procure, but also being cool with some of the parental. What they call it? The
Parental advisory stickers.
parental advisory. Yeah, depending on how big the print. I'd be like, "Mom, that's a small one," you know.
So they were kind of protective a little bit of what you listened to, or did you just feel like that and they never really
I
said
think
anything?
being the third kid, they
Right.
were less.
Right, yeah.
They were kind of broken in.
Yeah.
And yeah. Now, when it came to like maybe Dr. Dre and the Snoop Dogg records and stuff, when that was, you know, because that was just like the shiznit, as
Yeah.
Snoop would say, and when that was, I was probably a freshman in high school or something. I think maybe there might have been a little pushback. Then that's when you got the big parental advisory. They would
yeah.
make the size of the parental advisory was sort of on a scale based on how explicit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we would kind of trade him around. And I will honestly say, I do not think I ever shoplifted music. So I've got some
And that's
things on
okay.
it. But
That's
I
okay.
was
I'm not-
definitely with friends that did. And you kind of just had to, you know, you didn't want to like make too big of a thing about it, because then you might get everybody
Sure.
busted.
Yeah.
But I would, you know, you'd go into store with 3 or 4 friends, or, you know, and you're walking around, then as you're walking out, one guy would be like, and you're like, dude, what are you thinking? The coolest thing about going into Waterloo, by the way, and of course you can still do this, was going into those listening rooms.
That's right.
And just getting to like, you know, try a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And even if you didn't buy anything, you could like go listen to the new album, like start to finish. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we had regulars that did that on
Do
all the time.
Do they still have listening stations here?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel bad that I don't know here at the new location. I mean,
I didn't see anything.
I don't know. I think you still can. Yeah, but that was a
We
big
need to
deal.
figure that out.
I think they took the listening rooms and turned them into podcast rooms.
There you go.
Wow.
I guess now you can listen. Probably it's so easy to just kind of, you know, you can audition things from your computer on your phone.
Yeah,
or
on your
whatever.
phone.
right.
Yeah, that's true.
But, you know, the other day they had the Harry Styles event and everybody had their
Oh yeah, they were on
Yeah,
some.
yeah, I
phones.
saw
and
They were
that.
on
It's a
some.
very
they were
private
on,
affair.
Yeah, they were
I
on.
tried to get a job at Rock and Roll Reynolds one time as well, and I did not get hired.
No.
That was a pretty, like, you know, that was a very sought after
Okay.
gig, and I
Yeah.
probably rolled in a little too nonchalant about it. But I applied there and also at Whole Earth, and I didn't get the job at either.
Oh man,
How old
you
were
would have
you?
been perfect.
Wait,
with
how
Rock and
old were
Roll.
you?
And I think I told him during the interview, because it was like actual sit down interviews, that I was like, I don't even really want to get a job, but my parents are making me get one, and this is like the only place that I would actually want to work.
Sure. Wow. Yeah, that's funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just want to be transparent here.
Now, shout out to Rock.
I thought it was a compliment.
Yeah.
Like, like
Yeah.
I like you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Rock and Roll Rental. You know what I
Yep.
mean? There's people kind of, I don't know, people don't realize how important they are, and just how much of a fixture and the role they play in our town and culture. I mean, yeah, shout out to Rock and Roll Rental. And you live catty corner from them now, the owner, right?
Yeah.
What a small world. It really is.
I mean, and they're so sweet. I remember being in a bind. They helped me out, and I sent them like Tiff's treats like the next week. And they tweeted, they're like, "Thanks, DJ Honeycomb, for the cookies."
Really, you did that?
Yeah,
That's
I would send Tiff's treats to all the people that would help me with backline, because I feel like the backline folks are never really recognized. So that was my
They're
thing.
basically my across the street neighbor. Catty corners, maybe even two. I mean, they're like not perfectly across
Telescope.
the street, but one.
Yeah.
Right there.
So yeah, we see them every day.
What a
Nice.
small world, dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
shout out to Rock and Roll
I
Rental.
think if you're in
I
the
love that
arts, it's a
place.
small world for sure. Yeah, especially the music world. I knew that once I started working here, I was like, I feel like I'm going to get to know everybody. And I did.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
I voted for him in the Austin Music Awards poll.
You got to. You got to. I mean,
Hope everybody got their votes in
oh yeah, when was the last day?
Monday.
Oh snap. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much and being generous with your, your time. You could be anywhere right now, but you're here.
Yeah, thank
and,
you.
Let them know where they could find you. Maybe let them know about like all the spots that you're involved in, and what have you.
Yeah, well, thank you all so much for having me. Time flies by when you're having fun and talking about cool stuff. But you can find me bopping around here in Austin, Texas. Mel mentioned some of the places I'm involved with, but Lambert's, which is celebrating our 20th anniversary this December. Arlen Studios,
Nice.
Deep Eddy Cabaret, the old dive bar on Lake Austin Boulevard, which will be celebrated. It's like the era of these big anniversaries for all these Austin brands. We'll be having our 75th anniversary
Wow.
this year.
D. Betty?
Started in 51.
That's nice.
Wow.
That's great.
Cisco's Restaurant, Bakery, and
Yeah.
Bar on East 6th.
Yep.
And we've also got Cisco's Muni Cafe at Lions Municipal Golf Course. Cisco's just had its 75th last year. Antone's, of course, that just had the big 50th last year.
Wow.
And we're going to continue to tout that because it's like we're double dipping. Like last year was the year of the 50th anniversary, but we didn't turn 50 until July 15th of last summer. So it was like, now, okay, that was our 50th birthday party, but we get to
Yeah.
claim birthday status the whole year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So we're
yeah.
still celebrating our 50th. And Blues Fest, which is kind of our newest thing in the Antone's orbit. Clifford started Antone's Blues Festival in Waterloo Park in 99 and 2000. And that was before Moody Amphitheater was there. And so we had an idea kind of during the shutdown of the pandemic when we were thinking, okay, if we ever get out of this, what are our big goals and what do we want to do? And a big goal was to take the magic of Antone's and, once a year do something, take it out of our four walls and do it on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
So we started talking to the fine folks over at Waterloo Greenway Conservancy, and they ushered us in with open arms and said, we're actually looking to do something, for the community. And like, we got this amazing park and this amazing facility, and now we got to put it to work. So we
Nice.
became partners with them.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
changed the name from Antone's Blues Festival to Austin Blues Festival,
Okay.
just to make it a little more, just like,
Old with the new.
just communal and inviting, and just we were obviously it's a micro fest. It's a 6,000 cap venue, but we are very inspired by New Orleans Heritage and Jazz Fest, and in the same way that jazz is kind of like the moniker for just the soul and heartbeat and kind of this root genre of the New Orleans music community. We feel like blues is that for Austin in a lot of ways. We didn't really get into that today, but that's part of the reason why Antone's has this blues history, but can still kind of do all these other things and step out of that lane and be really diverse. Is to us, the blues is kind of just. I actually heard somebody say the other day that they're like, to them growing up in Austin, blues just sort of meant like the Austin sound.
Yeah.
It's just, there's like a soulfulness to it. And, everything's kind of bluesy. Like our country's kind of bluesy, our hip hop's kind of bluesy. Our rock's kind of bluesy. Even our jazz is kind of bluesy in Austin. So, blues, people get on us in the Facebook comments, the old guard about, that blues, that's not, Clifford be rolling over in his grave.
Right, yeah. It's kind of like the same folks.
And we're like, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Because
totally.
The blues is what we say it is, and we hold the torch. We've got the power. The blues has always been rebellious. The blues has always been about stepping on the boundaries and doing what, you can't tell the blues what to do. It's going to do the opposite.
Yep.
So for us, Austin Blues Festival is a celebration of just Austin's culture, the outdoors, community, people, music, all that. And we're having our 4th year coming up here in April. It's the last weekend of April 25th and 26th. We actually just went live with single day tickets this morning.
Okay.
Nice. And we just announced the daily lineup yesterday. We got Parliament Funkadelic and George Clinton closing things out on Sunday. They're bringing the Spaceship.
Oh, shit.
Bad, Bad, Not Good. Playing Sunday. The Sunday lineup is sick. Larkin Poe, War and Treaty, Chaparral, Annie and the Caldwells, the Pinettes Brass Band.
Nice.
And we just announced that the king of Austin Blues himself, Jimmy Vaughn, will be closing out Saturday with a yet-to-be-announced list of friends and special guests.
Nice.
And then Eric Johnson.
There you go. Yeah.
Is
I love me
playing
some
on
Eric
Saturday.
Johnson. Yeah.
Adrian Quesada, one of my closest kind of music colleagues and friends, and been working with another person I've been working with for about 20 years now across 7 bands and all the things that he does. Los Amigos Invisibles, DK Harrell, the Houston Tillotson Jazz Orchestra, and New Breed Brass Band. So you can get all the information and tickets at austinbluesfest.com, and we would love for you to come be a part of that. It's honestly everything we've talked about today. It's like we're trying to, in one event, in one gesture, in one expression, kind of just sum up that Austin vibe that we grew up having the privilege of, experiencing firsthand, and keep that tradition going. So
that's great.
Well, there you
Wonderful.
go.
Thanks,
Well, thank you so much for your time, and really appreciate you being here. And thank you for being on the Sound of First podcast. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. And y'all don't be strangers now. Let's.
We know your number.
We're not going to be strangers.
Well, I'm just saying.
I always see you. I see you all the time, bro.
That's true. I see you too.
I'm the one hiding.
She's the one hiding.
Well, what I mean is we'll have to find time to hang even when it's not a podcast.
No, absolutely.
It's been a fun hanging with y'all and just being reminded of all our connection, and it's been inspiring today. We let's go out and keep on
keeping
rocking
on,
in
right?
the free world.
There you go.
Yeah.
Will, my man, thank you so much for being on here.
Thanks, Will.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.